Hello and welcome back to another video on my channel. Apologies for not posting last week. I was very much ill and still am a little bit recovering from that, but good enough to be here to film. Right, so today, sorry, can't get words out correctly apparently. Today we are going to be playing as a small nation. Not really going to do any sort of, alt history playthrough style thing. We're more or less just going to take a small nation and just have a little bit of fun doing whatever we choose to do is the original idea. Whether that stays the idea in a minute, we shall see. But let's decide on the nation here. I was thinking about doing Albania. We'll see if I go with that. I mean, we could go with someone like the UK. You know what? Why not? We'll go with the UK. And we'll just build a bunch of railways and just have a little bit of fun with the UK. And I want to clarify, yes, I know the UK is not a small nation in the game. I am aware. The original idea was to play as a small nation, but obviously that has not changed. It's just playing as the UK for the pure sake of an easy game back. Because obviously I didn't post last week, so I just want to get back into filming and posting with a sort of nice, effectively easy game to get back into, which obviously means playing as the UK, which I feel like we do a lot on this channel, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is only the beginning amount of playing as UK, because it is probably one of my best nations to play as, because I can easily understand it as I'm from there, so helps. Obviously if I was from Germany would probably be my favourite, vice versa for every other nation upon the planet. But it's just, I speak English, so I can understand, the naval task forces and understand what they stand for, and it's easier for me to organise, and I just enjoy playing it. The Empire sort of helps as well, to be fair. But I do like playing Germany and stuff because the focus trees are quite nice and updated. Paradox, if you do want to update the UK focus tree at any point, that'd be greatly appreciated. It's an older focus tree at this point and could use a little bit of an upgrade. Now, national focus wise, I mean, we'll ignore anything to do with the Empire for now. I could very well go down steady as she goes down home defense, and then do things like securing Iraq and just invading every nation upon the sun, which would be fun to do, to be fair. However, I would feel that potentially going down a changing course might be a good idea. The only thing about going down, and I want Paradox to hear this, the only thing about going down a changing course is you literally have to wait until January of 37 to do the King's Party, and it's not even that good, in my opinion. This is all my opinion, by the way, just want to clarify, because the thing I have is when I go down the King's Party, yes, I can go and take back quite a bit of what the British Empire had, but I feel, seeing as you're going down a historical path, like you're going against history, you've already taken Ireland, you're going against the United States, bring them dominions, whatever, right? You're expanding, clearly, but it's all territory you once held. The only real sort of, and I know this probably isn't the exact case, but the only real ahistorical path, is the Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran sort of invasions, but even they have some historical sort of precedent to them, and were things considered or done in real life. So at the end of the day, the King's Party, all good. The main ahistorical path there is putting the king into power again. But besides maybe the Soviet Union invasion, and possibly, I don't know if there's a Japanese one as well, there is here. But beside those two, you can go to war with Spain, cool. Can you even go to war with Spain? I don't think you can, actually. I mean, to be fair, on the wide range of things, I think the UK went to war with Japan anyway. And the Soviet Union was a plan to do. I mean, yeah, as a puppet focus will go against national Spain, so technically there are a couple of nations, but I feel it would be nice to sort of, maybe change it up and have an invasion where your troops can start a border conflict out of Gibraltar, in order to create a bit more territory held in Spain. That would be a nice idea. If we're going off the old alliance that you'd have with Portugal, you could even get Portugal a bit of territory, in return for Portugal joining your faction. That would be a fun thing to do, in my opinion. I think there's a bit of territory above Portugal that you could sort of do a deal where, in aid of Portugal joining your faction, they get that bit of territory if you go to war with Spain. That would be an interesting sort of proposition. And obviously, the border war that I've proposed out of Gibraltar would be also an interesting thing to do. And then you could look at other things like, there is a sort of thing which isn't talked about too much in the game, I don't think, or at least I don't hear much about it, which is Mexico. There is an event that does pop up at some points where Mexico does things with oil and tries to nationalize it, and they do give you an option to go in, puppet Mexico and make it a dominion, which I think should be put into the focus tree and made more the thing, because it would give you more regional power in the Americas. So it just seems better. Also, Argentina, in the new update, when they did the South American DLC, they added the ability to take Las Malvinas, or the Falkland Islands, and South Georgia, which is good for them, because, it's a great ahistorical thing for them. But I feel the British should have not just the ability to get rid of the empire and then hand them back, but instead preemptive strike, maybe take some of Argentina would be an interesting thing. Or, in Argentina to start this, is there an option to, I haven't really ever gone down that sort of path as playing as the UK, so I don't know sort of what happens from a UK standpoint on that side. But, there are many options of things, in my opinion, you could do with the UK. If any of you have other suggestions, put it in the comments down below. But, I'm not saying the UK focus tree is the worst in the game, because it's not. It's honestly, it's a good focus tree for what it is, I will say. It's got a wide variety of things you can do, and it is good. But there's always, it could be better. Nothing's ever perfect. There's always something that can be improved on or made better. And I feel the UK focus tree, it's coming up on a time where, you've got nations like Germany, Japan, who are getting upgrades. And don't get me wrong, I think America needs an upgrade as well. The United States, they need an upgrade badly. Because their focus tree is arguably worse than the UK's. But I feel you could have a massive, allies upgrade, where you upgrade America, someone like Canada, the UK, maybe you upgrade France, An allies upgrade, I think, would be a good thing. Also, I think it's about time someone gives Ireland a focus tree, honestly. They've just got the basic one. They have so much potential in this game. that they need an upgrade at some point. Anyway, enough of me having a rant about what could be done in the game, what should be done in the game, and everything else. We are going to go down the democratic path here, because I feel like I play as a king way too much. Because in my opinion, it is arguably the best focus tree to go down, considering what you start with. Which, to be fair, says a lot. Because I would prefer to go down like a democratic path, or maybe go a more far right or communist path. But they don't provide the same things necessarily as, let's say, the monarchists, because you get more land, and especially I feel with Germany you want to go down that far right path because it has more stuff. Or actually, they're probably one of the better ones. The communist path's got a lot. The monarchist path's got a lot. The democratic path is lacking a little bit, but democracies aren't meant to go to war with everyone unless you're America. But it's just a thing. Also, that was a joke. I just want to clarify. But just related to the game. Anyway, let's move on and discuss what we're going to do, which is pretty much just have a little fun look around the UK, I guess. Probably sort the Navy out, maybe, which probably do quite a lot at this point. You can tell I'm getting back into filming. I do apologise for anyone watching this and wondering what is going on. I'm getting back into filming after a week off. Yeah, it's evident. The quality is lacking by a lot. But get back into it properly next week, which is good. Anyway, just to clarify, because I just realised I posted last week a post saying I was going to be on Millennium Dawn, and clearly I'm not. Behind the scenes things are taking a while longer than I thought they were going to. I can't play Millennium Dawn on the current PC I'm on. It just will not work. I am supposed to be getting a new PC soon. And then I keep saying soon. The date has not yet been given. And just for anyone wondering, well, if you order a PC offline, it should, you should have an order date or something. No, it's my brother's PC. He's just got to do some final things to clear it, and then I can get it and start putting my stuff on it. But it's tech issues have occurred, so it's taking longer than was once expected. But all will I'm mixing my words today. All will come in good time. All will happen in good time. Time is a thing that will happen eventually. Yeah. Right, let's have a look at the Navy. So, the Navy here, and I'm just going to sort of give you guys a little tutorial-esque thing of what I do here. So, you'll see here, we have the 2nd Submarine Flotilla, I'm struggling here, and the 5th Submarine Flotilla. Both of them should not be on home command. In my opinion, I just like it to be nice and orderly. 1st Submarine Flotilla should be on home fleet, and then 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. You get the point. Numerical order. And one per fleet. Also, when I do go to apply an admiral here, which is where you can do it in here, admirals generally can only have 10 fleets to them. Now obviously you can see here at the bottom it says there are 12 fleets in this home command grouping. Now obviously we cannot assign an admiral and expect that to work perfectly fine, because it won't. So the best option we have got is to in fact take the 2nd and 5th submarine flotillas, move them off. The 2nd one will go to the 2nd task force, and so on and so forth. we'll move them both off, send them probably over somewhere like Liverpool for storage. We will then take the first submarine flotilla, wherever it is. We will move that to the home command. Once that is moved to home command, we can then figure out which other one of the fleet here. Let's have a look through and I can show you which one it's probably going to be. So we'll look through and figure out which one we can remove. Here you will see a fleet called reserve fleet. Now obviously you could also say home fleet, you could take that out. But I would say home command, home fleet. Home fleet should probably be the one that has your capital ship. It would make sense. Then obviously Channel Force, protect the channel. Northern Patrol, it's up in the north. Humber Force, I mean it's got a unique name, so I don't see a reason of taking that out. I see a reason for bolstering it. It's only got 8 destroyers and probably could use a capital ship, and that would be quite helpful. But in reality, what I'm always looking for when I'm playing the UK and playing Navy, or basically any nation of the Navy, is to max out the admirals, but not go further than that. Because you don't want to push them over their max, but you want to keep that nice medium where they have their required amount, but they don't have over it, and they can operate at their best. That's basically the option I go for as many times as I can. But you can see that I have picked the reserve fleet. And it is, to me, how I build my fleet. I have 1 capital ship and 9 sort of surface vessels, or, basically colouring ships, as I call them, where they're not capital ships and they're not like a battleship or an aircraft carrier or, something along that calibre, but instead they're, destroyers, cruisers, or, supply or support ships. But obviously, as you can see by this one, it's got 2 battleships, or in this case, heavy ships, which will be, this entire fleet, this entire reserve fleet is going to be removed anyway from home command, so it doesn't matter, what we're doing with it or anything like that, because it's going to be removed and probably dissolved anyway into other task forces. So we've got the HMS Queen Elizabeth and the HMS Valiant. These two, obviously, prime real estate effectively in terms of how I organise my navies, to go and, fill in other task forces and commands and stuff along those lines. Now, here we then have the, I can't even pronounce that if I tried, and the HMS Hawkins. So these two are early cruisers, and obviously you'll see by the other early cruisers like the Carlisle, the Curlew, and the Adventure, they all have the sort of, I don't really know what it is that I call that, but they're distinguished by the lettering of CL. That, to me, it's basically like a light cruiser, but it's just a way of understanding them. So they're light cruisers, effectively, which means they're surface ships, support vessels, effectively, like a destroyer would be. Then the ones that are CA are sort of your coastal defence ships, or your sort of low range capital ships. So obviously with your battleships or your aircraft carriers, battleships being the second most rangiest, I think, in terms of capital ships. Aircraft carriers I think can go further because they have aircraft. This isn't confirmed. I'm just trying to remember. I'm probably remembering very wrong. But obviously, the CA call sign or tag is a capital ship, even if it's a cruiser, because it's basically a heavy cruiser, effectively. Now, obviously, the carriers, they are definitely capital ships. And then there's also, with the UK and other nations in the base game, which we're playing today, there are special projects. And the special projects, you can get fleet subs, carrier subs, and nuclear subs. Those three are all capital ships. Now, here's why I'm telling you that. Because when I'm organising my fleet, let's have a look again and try and find the submarine fleet. We're just going to look for the second submarine flotilla. So we'll go in here. So these are all submarines. So I don't want to put something like a battleship or an aircraft carrier in here, because it would be bad on all fronts. Because submarines go underwater and stay hidden for a long period of time. Aircraft carriers, battleships, whatever, stay on the surface and are easy targets for enemy ships or planes. Now, obviously, submarines are made to have a mission. Basically, let's say, to hit a coastal bombardment on some place. They then get dispatched, they go underwater, they stay hidden, then they get to where their target area is, carry out their mission, and then return home unnoticed, effectively. Now, obviously, if you put something like a carrier or a battleship with that fleet, it's not going to end well, from a fact of submarines aren't going to be able to protect it because they're made to be stealthy and silent. And then you've got a massive ship at the surface with nothing around it. It's going to be an easy target, an easy pickings for the enemy. I don't think I'm ever going to say that again in my life, because that just sounded just not great. But yeah, effectively, they're easy targets and they can be taken out without much of a fight against them being sunk, effectively, which is not good. So that's why I always stick to having a carrier or a battleship or a heavy cruiser with destroyers or light cruisers, because they're also surface ships, so everyone's going to be on the surface, everyone's together, and that way they can provide more protection, more firepower to stop enemy attacks against them, and effectively form a fleet, which obviously is good. So, when you get into naval battles in the game, it's easier to protect the ships from, let's say, if Germany was attacking me and they're over here, if they've got a fleet of, let's say, 100 ships out and they're all surface ships, if I put a carrier and 20 submarines against that fleet, I'm going to lose that carrier and possibly quite a few submarines, because they're going to have to be forced to surface to use their sort of weapons that they would have on their deck, or torpedoes. It wouldn't work effectively, because they would be spotted and sunk, which obviously wouldn't end well, because it would be a loss of ships, and that just wouldn't be good, and it would give the enemy an advantage, which we wouldn't want them to have. So the better way is to send out something like this task force or this fleet here, where it's all surface. Here you got heavy cruiser, and then a few light cruisers as well, or just one light cruiser, and then a bunch of destroyers. So they're all surface ships, they can go out, engage the enemy, and it's not that they're doing something they're not supposed to do, like, with submarine you're forcing it to do a role it's not supposed to do, but it's instead doing a role it was made to do, like a destroyer was made to basically destroy things. That is semi the point of it, and so, it's much better combat wise. Anyway, it's a little bit of my naval explanation. obviously a little bit of just me explaining how I do things and it from my sort of perspective on it. But from a more accurate perspective, there are probably some things that would be different. But it's a little bit of me explaining how I do things and why I do them. But yeah, so that'd be sort of how I would do it. And then the troops, I would just assign 24 to each army, and then just have 5 armies in an army group, and then just fight that way. That's just how I tend to do it, especially when I'm playing Soviet Union. That just turns out to be easiest for me, and especially if I'm like Germany going against Soviet Union, I need to have the maximum amount of troops I can have, so that would be the way I would do it then. But yeah, it's a little bit of me getting back into filming and just deciding to do a little explaining video on how I would play as the UK. If you do want to see more of these, do let me know in the comments down below, and I might do more of them. Also, if you did like this video, please do like, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications when you do subscribe, so you never miss another upload from me. And with that being said, that is pretty much the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this little different video today, and I shall see you all hopefully next week for another video. So bye for now.